June could be a turbulent month, says our next guest, Melissa Armo, founder, owner of the Stock Swoosh, joining me now. Good to see you, Melissa Armo. Some of your thoughts here.
Well, I think June is going to be a wild month. I already think it's going to be even this week. I thought that a couple of days ago, but Trump now has made a new deadline tomorrow that he wants all of these countries to put in their best foot forward for a tariff deal. So I always thought June was going to be a particular volatile month coming into what was supposed to be the July deadline for the 90-day pause for tariffs. So even though we are up today, we were actually down very early this morning in the gap, then we flipped, then we were up, then we rallied. Now we're selling off. Why? Because one of the Federal Reserve members came out just in the last half an hour and said that she's feeling like maybe she will hold rates steady, that the Fed shouldn't do anything with rates because they're concerned about tariffs, that tariffs could cause inflation. And my perspective is that tariffs are going to cause inflation because not all businesses are going to absorb the cost. They're going to increase prices. In fact, I personally have seen prices go up just since all of this has launched, even though it isn't totally done yet or through. Or settled. I've seen particular prices on things that I buy that the prices have gone up. In fact, I'm getting emails saying pre-tariff price, where you buy now before we increase it kind of thing. So I think that at least half of the businesses are going to pass them on to the consumer. And even the ones that don't may not right now, but may eventually, depending on how this all flushes out. So I think with that, the Fed may not cut rates. They expected twice more this year. Remember last year, they were supposed to cut them 5 times and then they didn't. And then the whole year went on. They didn't cut until September. Again, maybe they don't even cut rates at all this year in 2025. And eventually that's going to come back to bear in the market because the market is building in at first start 3 rate cuts, now 2 rate cuts, and we don't get any of that. Depending on the tariff outcomes, I think the market will react negatively to that.
Yeah, understood. I mean, look, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I've already seen stores implementing tariff increases ahead of the tariffs and just saying, look, we know the prices are going up, buy this before the price goes up. I don't know if it's a game or what they're doing, but I would agree with you that I've seen prices going up without a doubt. For whatever reason, I can't be 100% sure. But the uncertainty and volatility in the market, you think that's here to stay? Does that make it difficult to invest? What should you do with your money?
Well, it does make it difficult because you can't deny the market is in an uptrend now. I mean, we're not that far off the highs, but I've been trading for a long time now. I've traded very bullish markets. I don't feel like going long this market right now. Like you're like, okay, yes, we're in an uptrend. Yes, we're not that far from the highs, but you're just not getting the same lift. You're not getting the same oof, where it just goes. Again, this is not the typical bullish market. We had that big fat bar green day, the tariff pause day. But if you look at every other day since then, it's like tiny little rallies or a gap up that fails or like a baby little bar. We never seem to really just go where we just gap up and run up and just rally for like a week. We're not really strong. It's not really feeling like institutional money is buying the market here. And then when I look at all the different sectors, so many things don't match up. Apple, Apple's in a downtrend. That's actually one thing I'm very bearish on right now. Definitely affected by tariffs, China, inflation, everything that's going on right now. That's in a downtrend. And that's one of the leading stocks. You said, well, wait a minute. So when you look at all of these things right now, you're not seeing the same symbiotic cohesiveness where you would see normally in a bullish market where all the sectors are going together. We had NVIDIA earnings the other week. That was like a bust to me. I know it's rallying today, but that gapped up only a tiny little bit and then sold off. Didn't really go anywhere at all. So again, it's like, what are we getting excited about here? People are worried. I think big money isn't coming in really by the market. Are we already be over the highs? You have people that went long at the bottom, that bought the dip, that are like debating, should they sell? Maybe they're waiting. You have the shorts that are trying to come in. We have one gap down, it sells off, and then we flip. So I think there's a lot of uncertainty that's happening here. And, getting back to inflation with prices of things, once a company raises their prices, like say the tariffs get settled, say they're lower than everyone's talking about, say they don't happen at all, they're not going to lower their prices. That's not going to happen. So like companies are going to take advantage then of this whole thing if the tariffs end up being less and prices then are not going to drop. So, that's a shame for consumers, in my opinion. And it's also going to be a shame if, in fact, they don't even lower interest rates this year either, because people are really expecting it from mortgage rates, credit cards, all of those things. People are being fed all of this, that their rates are going down, rates are going down. Well, we haven't seen that yet, and again, it's interesting because Scott Besson has been on TV doing a fabulous job trying to talk everybody off a cliff and settle everyone down about these tariffs, companies and consumers, but he doesn't control the bond market, and he doesn't control the Fed, and he doesn't control interest rates.
So what stocks would you buy if we were to sell off or have some pullback at this point now? Because I know you think it's a difficult market. I think most people would agree with you. But, you got to be sort of ready for something, right? What are you ready for?
Well, I think Netflix is a great buy, even here. I think Netflix has been super strong, even with the sell-off we had. That's one thing that barely broke the 200-period moving average, even when we had the tariff situation. Never went into a downtrend. Very, very strong. I also like Meta, of course, that had a tremendous rally yesterday. Big fat green bar. I think that's probably going to run up to 700. That might be in its own without the market. BA is finally starting to look like that stock might turn around, and that's been in a downtrend forever. So, and again, of course, I like some of the leading banks, so there's different things I would pick and choose. Again, it's not like you could say, oh, well, I'm always going to do this one, I'm always going to do that one, because you can have something that you normally love, normally want to go long, would normally behave, and isn't going to work right. And Apple, like I said, is one of those particular ones that really could be hit hard with the tariffs, depending on what the deal is with the Chinese, how it ends up.
And what do you think of Meta? When you mentioned Meta, why does Meta seem interesting to you?
Just because of the fact that, again, that has been moving forward ahead of the market. Like, if you look at the last 3 weeks of the QQQs and the SPY, it's been in a very, very tight range. Even today, we rallied up, and like I said, now we're starting to sell off the last hour, so we could close down close to where we started the day. The market's been in a range, and Meta is breaking out. It's breaking out. It's continually moving up. That's what you want to look for when you're looking for something strong. You want to look for something that's continually moving up, or you want to look for something, if you're shorting, that's continually moving down. And speaking of one of those, since we're talking about tariffs, guess what? Target had earnings, kind of tried to rally, failed. That fell yesterday. Again, that's another one that's going to be hit hard with tariffs. That chart looks terrible. And that was such a beautiful chart for so long. And again, looking at the sector, Walmart looks completely different than Target. Walmart looks strong. Walmart's holding up pretty good, even though I think they're going to end up passing some of their prices off to consumers too. But Target looks terrible.
All right, Melissa Armo, it's great to see you always. Thank you, Melissa, founder, owner of the Stock Swoosh.